Hey guys, Joe here, and here we are for another Smash discussion. Now I am doing these every Sunday, so hopefully you are always enjoying these, and make sure to tell me in the comment section below what you want for next week, or the week after next week, because next week we'll actually be talking about which high tiers you should play, and what the benefits and negatives are. But in this video, now I'm gonna get it to the topic, which is, should I play a low tier, and what are kind of the benefits to playing a low tier in Super Smash Bros? Now it can be a little bit hard to think about benefits and think about negatives, pros and cons, but I actually did make a list with like 8 benefits and then 6 or 7 negatives. I don't really exactly know, but I do have a list, so hopefully I'll talk about everything on the list and maybe give you a little bit of information. This might help you decide if you want to play a low tier, and then after this video, if you're thinking maybe I don't want to play low tier, you could look at playing a high tier, see the benefits of that, see the negatives of that, and just weigh them and see what you personally like. Now I'm not going to say either way is better, I'm not going to say either way is worse, I'm just going to go out, show you what's the difference. I won't go over every single thing ever, but hopefully if I miss anything you can tell me in the comment section below. But let's get off with one of the pros, which is that you become a lot more, let me start this again. You can become a lot more known, a lot faster in your local area. For example, if you are a Sheik player in your local area, like in my area Utah, well, there's quite a bit of Sheik players actually, so really you won't be known that well, you'll just be another one of the Sheik players. But if you're somebody like a Marth player, and you win quite often with a Marth, well, you're pretty cool, you're playing Marth, you're playing a character that's not played very much, and you're kind of low tier, so everybody will kind of know you a bit faster, and just you'll become the Marth player, which sometimes people don't like to be called just the something player, but personally I kind of like it. I'm trying to become the Ike player and the Roy player, but we'll have to see with that. The next thing though is that winning against high tiers or other low tiers means a lot more to everybody watching you, and it can mean more to you also depending on who you are, or it can mean more to the stream that's watching you. Pretty much if you win a Sheik Ditto, nobody, like, people care, of course, people will always care, but people don't care as much as if you won with Ganondorf versus a Sheik. If you won a very good Sheik with Ganondorf, people would be very impressed. They'd say, oh wow, you're really good, you beat a Sheik, even if you didn't actually win the entire match. If you just won like 1 or 2 of the games out of a best of 5 or best of 3, people would still be pretty impressed, and they'd be a lot more impressed than if you won a Sheik Ditto, unless you beat a really good Sheik. But I mean, mid-level Sheiks Ditto, of course Ganondorf would look a little bit cooler, and pretty much if you like to impress people with low tiers, it's a lot easier to impress people with a low tier. Next, you can also really easily evolve the metagame for a character. For example, there is a Game & Watch that was at EVO. Everybody thought Game & Watch was, you know, okay, not very good, like mid-low tier-ish. I don't know, this is what I've been seeing from tier lists and stuff. But after Game & Watch at EVO, people think he's a lot better. They saw some of the stuff that he did, and a lot more people are picking up Game & Watch just because all the stuff that we saw, and just everything that we learned, all the early kills that you can do, and just all the little gimmicks and all that little type of stuff. Really picking up a character that nobody plays can sometimes evolve the metagame. This has happened a lot to Wii Fit Trainer. Tons of people are picking her up now. She was thought at the very beginning to be one of the worst characters in the game. Now she's pretty high mid-tier, like 20th place or something. So, just because we've learned how to spam and stuff. So really, you can evolve a metagame, and you can make a character become good that really wasn't good before, which can be pretty cool. Next, you can really play whatever character you want in the entire game if you do pick a low tier or a mid tier. Pretty much low tier, I'm counting mid tier also if you just want to know about that. But you can pretty much pick whoever you want. Of course, you can still pick a high tier, but that's for the other video. But you can pick your bad characters, you can pick your okay characters, you can pick people like Ganondorf, or you can pick people like Dr. Mario, you know. Okay characters, they really aren't the best, but you can just play whoever you want. And some characters, some people in life just really want to play whatever character they want, and that's all good with them. Next, a lot of people won't know your matchup versus you for quite a few games, and this will really give you a good advantage if they don't know how to play against you. If you're playing Bowser Jr., most people have no idea how to play against Bowser Jr., so it'll give you a good advantage in a tournament if you haven't fought the same characters or the same enemies multiple times in a row. So let's say you fought like your friend for hundreds of games in a row, of course they'll know the Bowser Jr. matchup. But if you go to like EVO and nobody knows the Bowser Jr. matchup, it'll give you a pretty good advantage, and yeah, it's pretty good. At the same time though, if more people start picking up your character, more people will be fighting against your character, so whenever you meet anybody else, they'll like know the matchup a little bit better, which can be a bit of a problem. When people start to know the matchup, it really becomes really hard for you because you just don't have as many good tools, but you know, for the first few games, it does give you a good advantage, which is very good. Next, it's a lot easier to be sponsored. This is just one thing that I've been looking at. If you are a main at one certain character, if they're a low tier and you're actually doing pretty well with them, a lot of people actually want to sponsor you a lot earlier, because even if you're doing just okay, like top 32, top 16, something like that, they'll be like, wow, this is actually pretty good, he's doing really well with this low tier character, and this could be somebody that could take our name into the games, and of course, pretty much just like make it a lot easier to remember. If you remember like a person like Rio who plays Ike, it's a lot easier to remember him than just any of these random Sheik players, and he got sponsored pretty early too, so yeah, it's just a little bit easier to be sponsored in what I've seen. Next, you really don't have to get first to be recognized in a tournament. Top 32 is pretty respectable in a low tier. If you play with the low tier, getting better is even better. But really, it's a lot easier to be respected with the low tier. And even if you do just okay, people will think that you do great just because your character is not quite as good. Next, you will improve on your fundamentals really well and your timing, because most characters do have a lot of low, like laggy moves that are really slow, really hard to hit, or just have a lot of end lag. Those can really help your fundamentals, help you get better at all that kind of stuff, and help you get better at reads, which is something that's really nice to get good at. Finally, for the positives, you won't have to fight many mirror matches. Now, some people love fighting mirror matches. I personally think they're okay, but a lot of people really hate fighting mirror matches, like really badly. They don't want to play Sheik versus Sheik, Diddy versus Diddy, or just Zero Suit Samus versus Zero Suit Samus. They just don't like that. They want to play their different characters, see how the matchup works up. It's all up to you, but I think this is a positive because a lot of people just don't like fighting mirror matches. But now that I've gone over these positives, I'm going to go for about 4 minutes to talk about the negatives, which a lot of you won't want to hear, but maybe some of you do want to hear, so then you kind of know the pros and cons. Well, one of the negatives is a very easy one to think about, is that it is much harder to win with one of these low tier characters. It's just really hard to win with them because their tools are a little bit worse. That's why they're low tier. They usually have a lot of lag, and they really rely a little bit more on reads than you would really want them to. They also sometimes have really bad recovery, so it's really easy to gimp them. It really depends on your character, but it is much harder to win. But once again, turn it on the opposite side of the coin. If you do win with them, you'll be praised a lot more, and pretty much people will just respect you quite a bit more. Next, you will need a lot more practice than somebody playing a high tier in order to get somewhat good. Most of the low tiers character playstyles are actually pretty hard to use, and they're just not really normal. Most of them aren't just rushdown, so it's kind of hard to get used to them. You'll have to do a lot of practice, and of course you'll want to practice versus all the high tiers a ton, so then you can finally win those matchups. Practicing versus high tiers can also be pretty hard, because when you're not very good at your low tier yet, practice versus a high tier, you'll probably get wrecked. So really it does take a lot of practice, and I do have a little video about practice if you want to see that. Next, you're just simply playing a worse character, and you won't really be able to beat high tiers at your exact skill level. Now this is just something that you'll have to take into you. You do have to become better than everybody in your region, everybody where you are, in order to beat the high tiers. The high tiers are simply better than your character. Sorry to say it, but they're better than your character. But that's not a bad thing, because once again, you can get that advantage from the not knowing your matchup. But really, it just also will help you show your skill. You do really, though, have to just get better than everybody in your area with reads and stuff, because your character's just worse. It's just something that has to be said. Your character's just not quite as good as the enemies, so you will just have to just practice pretty much. It will take a lot more time, and some of you just won't want to do it, and that's all okay. There is, of course, picking a high tier, but of course I'll go over that in the next video. Next, you will have to focus on reads most of the time. A lot of these low tier characters, mid tier characters, have a lot of reads. You have to get the grab reads, you have to get the fireball reads, you have to get pretty much a smash read. A lot of them kill pretty early, but they do take a lot of reads in order to kill. But at the same time, learning how to read really well is actually pretty useful, because it's one of the best fundamentals that you can learn. And if you learn how to read really well with a low tier, you might be able to bring that into actually doing that with a high tier, and that can always be pretty strong. So, learning to read, which can be hard, but can be good. It's a little bit harder thing to do that you'll have to be a little bit more skillful, but can also help you improve pretty fast. Next, you will have to abuse a lot of gimmicks with most of the characters that are low tier, and for some characters, or not characters, I keep saying that, for some people, that can be really boring. Some people just don't like trying to get a lot of tippers with Marth. Some people don't just like using like weird grab combos. Some people just don't like using all your tomes with Robin. People just don't like a lot of these gimmicks, and they don't like sometimes using your up air to get early kills with Game & Watch. Sometimes people just won't want these gimmicks. Maybe you don't want these gimmicks, and you just don't want to use them a lot. So it can become a little bit boring to use the gimmick a lot, especially someone like Marth, where you have to use it over and over and over again to do good. It can become boring, can become hard to use, so it is a little bit bad. But if you do like using gimmicky characters that are good at one thing, but very good at that one thing, it can actually be pretty cool to play a low tier. Next, you really won't have results as fast as if you played a high tier. If you played a high tier characters, you'd probably get results a lot faster in your local area, or in your regional area, in your national area. It's just a lot easier to get results just because they're a little bit better, and it takes a little bit less time to practice with them. And next, you will probably have to abuse, final thing, you'll have to abuse the jank in the world, and set some jummies in order, jimmies, I don't even remember, in order to win a lot of the hard matchups. So if you have a really bad matchup versus one of the high tiers, you'll probably really have to try to jank it up, try to just kill the opponent in some stupid way, and it could be pretty hard, be an almost impossible to win matchup. So you'll have to learn how to use the jank, which can be very hard, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes it's just almost impossible to win a matchup which is just something you'll have to take in. But at the same time, there are the benefits, there are the negatives. I hope that you guys did enjoy this video. I did talk about quite a bit of stuff, so maybe you want to rewatch it to just see everything I said, because there is a lot of information in this. Or you might say, this video is crap, don't want to watch it again, and that's all up to you. If you liked it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to tell me if you guys play low tiers, if you guys play high tiers, and what you think the benefits are, and the negatives that I did forget, because I know I don't have all of them. Thank you guys for watching though, and I'll see you all next time.